Only 6 races remain in the 2021 Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series season, and of those 6, there's only 2 road races left. This week, we're taking road racing about as literal as it gets. We're racing on the streets of Long Beach. This is the GP of Long Beach presented by Raze Energy, a 51-lap race in some of the tightest confines this season. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna for our 6th to last race of the season, Finian, our penultimate road race. I'm very excited to be joined with you here tonight, Finian. 51 laps here at Long Beach.
These guys have put on some fantastic racing over the road course circuits this season. We had a great race last time I covered this series out at Mid-Ohio. Looking forward to seeing what these guys can do on the streets of Long Beach, California. Fantastic looking circuit, we got to mention as well.
Well, let's head down to the racetrack and cover the last little bits of qualifying here. 4.5 minutes left in qualifying at the moment. It's Philip Kraus at the top of the board, a 105.31. Very quick lap times around here. 10 corners in Finian. Let's bring up the track facts here. There's some really interesting details about Long Beach. It's been around since about 1975, but Long Beach, California has a population just under 500,000 people. Constructed in 1975. Formula One tried to race here. It was profitable, but not by very much, about $100,000 in profit, which even for 1975 wasn't spectacular. So it's a little bit of work left to do there. But we want to thank our sponsor, Raze Energy, for joining us here this season. Again, my name's Kyle Heyer alongside Finian DeCuna. But for tonight, Finian, Raze Energy. Of course, Raze Energy has a promo for using 15% off. The Savvy Ninja will get you 15% off your order. You can check out Raze Energy at repsports.com. That's with 2 P's. Of course, Raze Energy, demand more. They offer healthy energy drinks, pre-workout, protein and food, recovery, and weight loss products. You can check them out, again, at their website, repsports with 2 P's.com. All right, so with qualifying underway here, Finian, always a discussion to have at Long Beach is the tight confines of this place. Concrete on one side, concrete on the other, asphalt in between them. It's a real challenge to get around here without making a mistake.
Yeah, it's going to be the big thing. I don't think this is going to be as attrition heavy as we saw Detroit. But actually, I don't want to say that too soon. Maybe in for a surprise. But Detroit is notorious for being extremely close. I would say a lot more closer than Long Beach. Long Beach has a lot more. You can see just how wide the track is in some parts. Some of these corners can be really tricky to see. Liam Quinn flying on here to the back straightaway. So there's some parts of the track that definitely narrow up and can put you right up against the wall, if not in it, if you're not careful enough. So that's definitely going to be something these guys have to keep on mind, not only for qualifying but also for the race here.
Well, of course, you got to make sure that you make the right tire selections as well. We're going to have graphics that show you that all throughout the race. The red alternate tire and the black primary. I don't think that's going to be as big of a deal as it has been at some of the other road courses. I think track position is the key here, as always, at any sort of street course. But qualifying is crucial, and that's why Kraus, Espedy, Carey, Bennett, and Ike in the top 5. They're in a great spot. Flynn Lazier, 6th. Then Wood in 7th, Thompson, Oster, and Greenfield the rest of the top 10. I don't think, if you're outside the top 10, Finian, I don't think you have a realistic shot of winning this race. I think you have to start up front and stay up front if you want to have a shot.
No, yeah, the passing is going to be tough, especially you look at Sector 1 and you see Adam Blocker riding on board with him now, still yet to put a time down. He's been waiting for a good moment to go. He started 1 lap earlier and then backed off of it, but you can just see, especially in Sector 1, it is extremely tight. Very hard to make a pass work other than really turn 1, but otherwise there's very much follow leader through some sections. That being said, it is impossible to pass. It's going to take a lot of work to get it done.
So let's go over the point standings coming into the night. Andreas Ike is currently the points leader after Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. No wins, though, for Ike still. Adam Blocker runs 2nd in the points, 12 points back with 2 wins. 2 less races counted. Andrew Kinsella is 3rd, then Philip Kraus 4th, Henry Bennett 5th, Kingsbury, Thompson, Stouffer, Crane, and Watkins the rest of the top 10. Really, it's a 2-horse fight for me, Finian, between Ike and Blocker. Those two, but Ike's consistency has been amazing. He's got 11 races counted, 9 of which have been top 10s, but the problem is Adam Blocker, with less races, has had 9 races counted and 8 top 10s, so that's an even better record.
Oh, and speaking of the duel between Philip Kraus and Adam Blocker, Blocker just went up into 2nd place, a little over 10th off of Philip Kraus. I'm not sure if he's got 1 more lap to go in qualifying. I think he has enough time to do it, so we'll see if he can get back in time if he's going to continue and try to push maybe for pole.
Well, he's looking like he's pushing at the very least at the exit of turn number 4 and up onto the back straightaway here. And the penalties for getting it wrong, especially with the new damage model here, Finian, pretty severe. Let's have a look at the event graphic for today. Of course, this is the GP of Long Beach here, Finian, presented by Raze Energy. And we're here at the Long Beach Street Circuit. You can have a look there at the track map, and you can see those long straightaways are bisected by very, very tight corners, highlighted by that carousel at the exit of turn number 2. That's a really cool corner, Finian, but it's also very, very narrow and very easy to get a little bit wrong.
Yeah, I was amazed too. I was doing a little research on Long Beach, so I was interested. How very recent that the fountain corner was added to Long Beach. It was only added, I think, 1999 or something like that, 1998, somewhere close like that. So it was interesting to see how much of a recent addition that was to the track, as Blocker comes across the line and doesn't look like not going to be enough to get pole.
Well, with qualifying complete, it's Philip Kraus on top, a 105.31. Blocker second, Espedy in third. If you want to cycle that header graphic real quick for me, it'll get the Raze Energy logo cycling through. There's a great look at the docks here at Long Beach. I got the opportunity to check out Long Beach earlier this year when I was down in Willow Springs for a Grid Life event. Really cool area for sure. But now we're going to head up to the gridding here, and we'll go through our starting lineup. On row number 1, Finian, it's going to be Henry. Oh, that's definitely not right. Never mind. We're going to back away from that. I guess the order here doesn't work, unfortunately. So the qualifying results you saw a little bit earlier. But let's have a look at the weather here. It's a little cloudy, and I think what we're also going to see is, with the cloudy weather, is going to come cooler temperatures. You can see 70 degrees in the air, 76 on the racetrack. That's cool, and that's going to be real fast.
Yeah, and I think these guys are going to definitely enjoy having such cool temperatures to deal with. Last thing we want is to be sliding around the streets of Long Beach. As you can see, you can even see in some parts of the track, you see guys where they came out of the corner, went flying into the concrete wall that we've been talking about quite a bit, and we're going to keep talking about those walls all night long because of how dangerous and deadly they can be. Here, as you see everyone lining up on the back straightaway.
Great looking field. Finney, remember the last couple times we've come here, with almost every series, it's the opening lap for me that makes me the most nervous. If you can get through lap 1, you're probably good, at least for a couple laps. But if you're starting mid to back of the pack, you better be very careful about picking your way through this opening lap, because it's very easy to have one driver up in the top 5 or 10 make a mistake and catch everybody else off guard. So, again, if you can survive that opening lap, you're going to be good for most of the 50 or 51 that we have tonight. But don't take yourself out early. We're getting close to the end of the season, especially if you're a road course ringer. You're not going to have a lot of opportunities to make up points after this round.
Yeah, and I can imagine that guys like Philip Kraus and Adam, well, really Philip Kraus, because he's been pretty good at the road course. He's going to be looking at this as a prime opportunity to at least stay ahead of Adam Blocker. The thing is, Blocker is going to be knocking on his door, being in second place. I also would think that Blocker has a good chance of maybe trying to take away the lead here on the opening lap. I think the pace car is actually just about to start rolling off, so we can get this race underway.
Well, I'm working remotely from York, Nebraska tonight. Finney, what's our field size? How many cars we have this evening?
24.
That's a really good field for Long Beach, especially how tight it can get here. Rolling through some of the final corners as we head towards the infamous hairpin. That's the tightest corner on the racetrack, one of the tightest corners I've ever seen on a racetrack, short of maybe Macau's hairpin. But as the pace car rolls up out of the final corner, turn number 10, this is the GP of Long Beach, presented by Raze Energy. 51 laps, the 6th to last race of the season. Double file out front and coming to the green flag. Here at Long Beach, we're racing. Green flag flies, and at Long Beach, we're racing down towards turn number 1 and trying to get down single file before that first corner. Bit of an offensive move here. Blocker looking aggressive on the outside towards that first corner here, Vinny.
Yeah, unfortunately, he could not get a good enough run down towards turn number 1. So he's going to have to stay in behind Philip Kraus for now, as his Blocker is Speedy, Carey, and Bennett, your top 5 through the fountain.
Well, so far so good. We got at least the front 5 through there. Hopefully we didn't have a whole lot stack up there. It looks like there's some trouble out back. Maybe where Andrew Wood is, perhaps. Yes, there's the 56 of Riley Thompson and the 64. I believe that is it's the 64 Wood.
Yep, that is
yes,
indeed 64 Wood, and it's going to bring out a caution as well.
So full course yellow on the opening lap, and this is, one of those scenarios that we sort of expect to see. But thankfully, it was only a couple cars involved, and just a little. Ooh. That was a big hit, actually. The 50, or is it the 09?
There's a
that was the first one to
09
get turned
Jacob
around.
Oster, a teammate of Riley Thompson. He looks like he was one of the first guys to go around. Not sure if something up ahead happened, because that's the thing with the fountain. It is very easy to cause a stack up if someone gets the corner on, causes a concertina effect down the order. Yeah, it looks like
there
the
it
first
is.
one around he went.
Is that Stouffer that tagged him from behind? I think
Might have been.
yeah, it was Chris Stouffer, I believe. As we have another look on board. And this is just what happens at accordions getting into the braking zones here. It's just super easy to just stop on your braking. Yeah, you can see the 09 locked up just a little bit, so I don't put that completely on Stouffer. But thankfully, that's a pretty minimal impact for a lot of those drivers.
Yeah.
I don't see any suspension damage.
Oh, someone went on through the flowers. Trying to get their way on around. You can see them even dump some dirt onto the track. So I guess they'll take that time to fix it back up. I think really the only driver of concern here is Jacob Oster, and he's actually stayed out, or I think he's still got missing a wing. I think he's probably the driver that got the worst damage out of that, and I think really he should be fine. I think only the wings got some damage. I think might have also just avoided suspension damage to the wheels, so I think he should be good to go, which is very lucky considering he did an entire pirouette. It's amazing he didn't get hit by someone else.
Yeah, and really the best thing here is I don't see anybody with suspension damage. If you break your wheels, it's game over, night over. You can't repair that. But it looks like everybody's damage is minor, cosmetic, repairable stuff, so that's good to see. So 2 laps into our 51-lap event here tonight, we want to give another shout-out to the sponsor of tonight's race, Raze Energy. And again, a 15% code for viewers of this live stream. Use the code TheSavvyNinja. I'm going to put that in the live chat on YouTube. To get yourself 15% off your order from repsports.com for any Raze Energy products. Of course, as I mentioned before, they do healthy energy drinks, pre-workout, protein and food recovery, and weight loss products. So all sorts of stuff to check out. I could probably use some of those things myself as we head down towards the backside of the racetrack.
You and me both.
Well, you know, I always like, you know, Raze Energy. I saw them come on board with another driver in another series a couple months ago, and I always think it's really neat when you see partners activate through iRacing, especially on a sponsorship level like this and offering a discount code and that sort of thing. Really, really cool, and big thanks to Raze Energy for that. We'll talk more about them a little bit later. But good news is also when they finally redid Long Beach, they sped the pace car up just a little bit. We should get the 1 to green this time by, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say the base car speed, I think, is going around, I think, 40, 45, 50 miles an hour. It used to be 20 or 25, I think. I forgot how slow it was, but it was way too slow.
I remember we did a hosted race there once, and I think it took us about 25 minutes to get through a caution sequence. We threw the caution thinking it would be fun to bunch everybody back up, and it just wasted the rest of the race.
Yeah, it was. I'm kind of glad. In general, this track really needed to go, to being a full track from the tech track, because it looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm amazed that looking back, I don't have a blimp static camera. I don't know why. I never bothered to put a blimp static camera. At some point, I'll try to get it on. I don't think it really matters actually after this point, but
you disappointed me, Finian.
Yeah.
All these years.
Join the list.
Oh, man. And once again, for those watching from home, things might feel a little bit different tonight. While I'm lead announcing tonight, I don't have all my typical tools in front of me to help announce this. So I'm kind of doing the best I can with the live feed. I'm watching it essentially the same way you guys are. And again, I am in York, Nebraska. If you've never heard of it, neither had I.
I would be amazed unless you actually probably come from Nebraska if you heard of York, Nebraska.
There's probably 47 people in the chat that are going to rip me a new one for not knowing about York, Nebraska. But this is where I stopped. I'm on my way to Grid Life's Alpine Horizon Festival, which will be taking place this coming weekend at Pikes Peak International Raceway in Fountain, Colorado. 3 days of racing, music, and motorsports, and I'll be announcing Grid Life Touring Cup as well as our time attack competitions this weekend. We've got Cletus McFarland coming out. We've got the Smoking Tire coming out. We've got Lupe Fiasco, Suicide Boys, all these very interesting characters musically and motorsports oriented. So catch it on Grid Life Live at youtube.com/gridlife if you'd like to watch it and see me in a different environment. I'll have more tools in front of me for that one, thankfully. But also be on World Challenge Esports this coming weekend from Spa-Francorchamps on Saturday at, I think it's at 4 Eastern. So I got a busy weekend ahead of me, Finian, as we head towards the hairpin for this restart.
Yeah, I also just wanted to point out Flynn Lazier there jumped from 16th all the way up into 10th. Sorry, from 16th to 6th since already in just one lap, barely even half a lap of racing. Just want to know, big mover there. I see Philip Kraus coming out of the final turn, leading the field of green.
All right, Philip Kraus out front and taking the field back to the green flag here for the GP of Long Beach presented by Raze Energy. Adam Blocker kind of got blown away on that restart. He was not there to pounce, and just behind him, he's got some pressure as well. On the way down to turn number 1, Blocker goes a little bit defensive, and Brian Carey also lingering back there as well. And then the 4th place, the number 79 car. Henry Bennett in 5th, and Flynn Lazier, that orange car, running in 6th. So looking very, very solid as we make our way through turns 3 and 4 and head on our way to the backstretch here, Finney. Nice clean restart that time through.
Yeah, no, looks like nothing happened in the back, so I think we should be good and clear to go from here on out. But yeah, amazing lead already over a second between Kraus and Blocker. Blocker actually starting to have to worry about Austin Speedy sitting in behind him in the number 7 machine.
All the way out to the edge of the concrete walls, looking on board from Adam Blocker. See the number 7 in tow. Not a lot of slipstream here, but you've got push to pass to use. 10 uses of it, Finian, but I would argue that this is probably a good time to use them when you're all bunched up, because as the field stretches out, your opportunities to pass are going to diminish pretty greatly. The other good news here, though, is that you're not going to get massively affected by aero wash, because the corner speeds here are relatively low, so there's not a whole lot of downforce that you need to rely on around here.
Yeah, that being said, they definitely have to be a little bit careful when you're following someone through some medium speed corners, because that wall will close up on you fast if you try to take it normally. You guys on the button in the back. Whoa! Car went flying off. That's Flynn Lazier in turn number 1.
Oh man, he's got some pretty major rear wing damage. And did he get turned down in turn 1? Oh, I think he just locked up the rear wheels.
Right on board with you. I don't think got anyone behind him, no.
No, I think he's just going to get down here and gets on the brakes too hard and just had too much rear brake in it. If he had spun out and hit the barriers. That's a, got to shift that brake bias forward a little bit, but Flynn Lazier might be done for the night. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, that was his car in the pits, unfortunately. That is going to be end of the day for him. Eric Gonzalez has got passed by 2 cars. That's Christopher and Andrew Wood to his left-hand side. And actually looks like he might be passed yet again. I think he might have a problem, not exactly sure, with the 98.
Getting a little racy back here as well. They're kind of duking and diving around each other.
Yeah, Ray Kingsbury going to throw it up the inside of Gonzalez, going to get 15th place away.
Move Kingsbury up. A lot of new livery as well, which is making my life extra difficult without having the
Yeah, I
timing
was going to say,
screen in front of
you're throwing me for a loop, because half of these guys changed the scheme from just 2 weeks ago.
Oh, man. Onto the front straightaway to complete lap number 5. And this race is going to go by pretty quick. Laps are only about a minute long around here. But you already see the field starting to stretch out. And then it becomes a strategy race. And red tire versus black tire. Let's have a look at the tire strategies here, Finian, so far. If you flip over to the tire graphic on the ticker.
There we go. Trying to find it.
Should be able to, there you go. And you can only see that in the top 15, only 2 drivers have selected the primary tire. So everyone, most people, choosing the alternates, which is a little strange. I thought more people would have started with the primaries.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are looking at it and saying maybe they can try to build an advantage with the alternates, then switch to the primaries. I guess that may be the school of thought, because again, we did mention how it is tough to pass. I think they figured better use the reds to try to build those gaps and then manage it with the blacks. Liam Quinn going conservative first. He's going to try to punch the gun later, and he's already up pretty well, up into 7th place, although even though he started 5th, so he's dropped 2 spots. But see if he can hang toe with the top 6. Andreas Ike, notably just up the road. The eternal bridesmaid in this series, and sitting in 6th.
Yeah, he has been having a very silently good year. I mean, again, he doesn't talk much, but he certainly performs on the racetrack and has been incredible this season. An amazing consistency, a new livery on board this car, and a new team, and he's doing very well, but I think he's going to have to do a little bit better than 6th if he wants to keep his points lead over Blocker. It's only 12 points coming into the night, all the way out to the tire bundles as we go back for a battle a little further back.
Yeah, David Adams trying to hound the back of Josh Clogg in the 199. Battled for 8th brewing between these 2.
Had to have a laugh at one in the YouTube chat looking up. They were all Googling York, Nebraska to learn about it. Not much
is there much to learn about York, Nebraska? I would say probably not.
Onto the back straight under the Firestone Bridge and watching David Adams here. And going back to the gaps here, Finney, let's see how much people. Whoa, there's is that Ray Kingsbury on the attack in the background?
Indeed,
yes, it is.
He's absolutely going for it, trying to make an attack this time on Aaron Riffs. He's going to throw it up the inside. He's been loving turn number 9 there as they work their way on through. Second time we've seen him make a pass, but as you mentioned, darting aggressively, trying to make these passes happen early on.
Yeah, let's switch the ticker back to gaps and we can have a look at the lead that Kraus has established out front. It is 1.6 seconds, and you can see about 1 second to 3 seconds between each driver as everyone sort of gathers their own ground around them. And this, again, becomes a strategy race. So the reason why I wanted to go to the tires was to see what the strategies people could play. Now, everyone went on the alternate, but, you know, Finney, that seems like the obvious strategy, but when everybody does that, you don't really actually have an advantage. So I think the primary was an interesting call there because it's the thing that everyone has not done. You see Ray Kingsbury with some damage. I think he just picked this up down in turn 1.
Yeah, it actually happened just on the exit of turn number 1. I think went in a little bit too hot. Round he went and just threw the front wing into the barriers. So I'm curious to see if he's going to choose to stay out or choose to come into the pits. I mean, I would definitely want to come into the pits. Wow, I can see the understeer, and that's missing only half of a wing. And you can just see how much he is struggling to make it through some of these corners. And in fact, I think should be an easy pass for Wilson Neto, sorry, in 20th in behind him.
So, you know, we said earlier that I don't really consider Long Beach to be an incredibly high downforce racetrack. At least you're not going to experience a ton of aero wash, but when you're missing the front wing, most of the cornering force comes from those wings, even at speeds that are seemingly pretty low. The mechanical grip is significant on these cars, but as soon as you miss that front wing, any of your high-speed cornering ability goes away. There is Joe Branch in the number 28. He's got the 55 of Marshall Stanley behind him. This is all a battle for 12th, or make that 11th. Also note that there will be a $25 prize for Raze Energy given away to any driver in the top 1 through 15. We're going to do basically choose a random number at the end of the race using a number generator. Anybody in the top 15 can win that award, $25 to repsports.com. So make sure you stay tuned at the end of the race to find out who that is going to be.
Watching Joe Branch trying to hold off Marshall Stanley in the 55, heading into turn number 9. Be able to defend from him on this occasion.
One of the things I love about Long Beach is that it flows so nicely compared to Detroit, where it seems like it's very stop-start. Long Beach has a really nice flow of momentum to it that you can carry even in something like an IndyCar, but you're still, slowing down from over 180 miles an hour down to 50 for the first corner. So there's still a lot of energy change, and you see here as Marshall Stanley pops out to driver's left for turn 1, not quite going to be close enough to take a look, but he's certainly keeping the pressure on.
He's trying to on Joe Branch, especially in the fountain section up right underneath the gearbox of the 28 car. But again, this is what we mentioned. This section of track very much follow the leader, very hard to make a pass. I mean, you see Joe Branch lock up down, and he's got the hole onto the brakes, going to have to throw it in reverse and get back going again. And I think was feeling the pressure on that occasion.
Well, he basically was able to save it. He did lock up the brakes and stop, but one of the changes with this new tire model that this car has had now for several months is it locks up seemingly a little easier, but when you do lock up, the car just goes dead straight, and there's really no way to save it except to unlock the brakes. So Joe did the right thing there and essentially stopped the car, backed up, and went straight again. So he's back rolling, but did give up that spot to Marshall Stanley, and you've got Eric Gonzalez coming in behind on the inside of Greenfield, who's going to run wide, and I think there's Ziegers in there as well.
Ziegers actually, the back driver making the pass on Greenfield, and then Oster in behind. There's Eric Gonzalez right up the road with it. Ziegers is showing anything to go by. May be up to Eric Gonzalez here by the end of the next few laps.
So we're about at the 1/5 mark of this race, and thinking about fuel strategies and tire strategies here, Finney. You're probably going to do this on one stop, would be my guess. And you're going to have to switch whatever tire you're on. You're going to have to switch to the other. So if you're on the red, you're using a lot of tire here, a lot of slow sliding, a lot of locking up. So I would imagine that the red tire is going to get beat up pretty quickly around here, but I'm not convinced it's going to lose a ton of pace more than the black tire would. So we'll see what the strategies look like, but we might see the 2 or 3 drivers that took the primary stay out a little bit longer.
Yeah, really the big difference, I think, between these two is really the opening laps, building the heat up. It's a lot harder to do in the black primary tires, being harder rubber. It's a lot harder to do as you look at Eric Gonzalez trying to defend in behind from Ziegers, already caught up to his back wing. And Quinn, notably, already coming to the pits.
So lap 12. It's only about 24 or 25 miles worth of racing.
Yeah, so I'm guessing he's gonna imagine maybe try two-stop with both sets of reds on the second and third stint.
Yeah, he's on the primaries now,
and
there goes the alternates. So that again, that could be double. Running the alternates over 2 stints, doing a two-stop strategy. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, we've seen different guys, especially at Road America, we saw that strategy really come into play. That essentially decided the race there, with drivers just not reacting to the strategy in time. Philip Kraus, if I'm not mistaken, was able to. Was it Philip Kraus who run at Road America? I should know this off the top of my head. Yes, okay, he did. He did win at Road America, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Adam Crane when it came to the strategy. Crane ended up finishing in 6th because he wasn't really able to respond to the change in strategy with ironically also a safety car coming out in the first on the opening lap. Changed the strategy up quite a bit. We'll see here Liam Quinn if that call is going to be the winning, if not a winning call, a really good call to gaining some track position.
Well, we're going to see how it'll pan out. Now, interestingly, we haven't run on an oval since our April 11th Indianapolis 500. Since then, it's been exclusively road racing. That's going to all change about 2 weeks from now when we head to Worldwide Technology Raceway for 140 laps at Gateway. That's August 1st. We are first time back at an oval since April. It is now late July. So considering that this is about a 50-50 split with ovals and road courses, it's been a long time since we've seen an all-left track. And that's going to throw people off. How much have you been working on this next oval race? How much have you been building your setup for? We only have one more road race left, so the strengths and weaknesses of different drivers, I think we've seen offset too much to the road side for how the tail end of the season is going to go. And I think that, interestingly, falls right into Ike's hands. I see him as a better oval racer than a road racer. Right now he's running 6th, and we'll see if that plays into his hands towards the end of the season. Also notably, sun's come out after nearly first quarter of this race being in the shade. California sun's come out on the track. I'm not sure if it's really started to rise the temperature anything significantly, but after about 10-15 minutes, I think we're definitely going to start to see it climb up. I think we started with 76 degrees track temp. It's up to 79. Yep. It's probably only going to go up from here. Oh, there we go, 80 degrees. So it is climbing. And as the longer drivers run, the more rubber will be down. So, whoa, watch, I get really close to the barriers. As the run goes on, the track gets hotter. The track is going to grip up a little bit from the rubber, but then it's going to get a little greasy in that high temperature. So we could see the track conditions change towards the tail end of this race. For now, it's probably pretty similar. Is that Stouffer wide in turn 1? Yeah, actually, Stouffer, he's been off the track for quite a while. He's actually 4 laps down, all the way down in 20 seconds. I think it was letting some drivers on by, especially drivers in a battle that we were seeing. That was not this group of drivers. These group of drivers also in a battle. You see Gonzalez, Greenfield, Oster, Nino, and Quinn, I believe, all in a line. Yeah, so Ziegler's got by Gonzalez and just checked out, so that 8 car is on a move. But Eric Gonzalez now holding up the train, the cork of the bottle, with Greenfield and Oster behind. You can see Oster, remember, he was one of the drivers, actually the driver that sort of triggered that initial caution. And he's actually recovered quite nicely up to 15th place and still has the pace to compete. Here comes Greenfield up the inside of Gonzalez. And gonna just push fast to get it done, and will he get it done? Ooh, car in the wall. That's Stouffer again. He's just had an awful day. This is his first lap out of the pits, too. Oh. Yeah, that's a pretty big hit. Well, see the damage get run over by Eric Gonzalez as well. But that's going to be it for Stouffer, I'd imagine. That's a frustrating way to end the day. Notably, Joe Branch, Jacob Oster, next group of drivers to come down to pit lane. Still not a whole lot of takers here as we're creeping up slowly towards the halfway point. Only really 3 or 4 guys from the top spots have come in since we got the restart. So with 35 laps or so to go, if they're putting on the primaries, do they just run to the end, Finian? I would imagine your fuel could probably do that, right? Maybe a bit of a stretch. Again, I mean, part of me is imagining with the way Quinn came in, because I would be amazed if he can carry this set of alternates all the way to the end. If he can, more props to him. But yeah, I would imagine he might want to be coming in again. And we'll have to really see how the strategy is going to play out with these guys. But for Branch and Oster, both of them switched to the white walls. For the hard compounded tire, I mean, maybe they might try to catch to the end, or maybe just go quite a bit on these whites and then switch back to the reds for the final run. So some guys maybe playing some different strategy or trying to mix it up. Hold on, white walls? I mean,
No, not really white walled. I'm just saying because they got like what? Oh, you know why? Because it's got a white eye. Because
okay.
Sorry.
I was gonna say I thought that iRacing had slipped in a third tire compound that I didn't know about. I was really rattled for a minute.
Yeah,
I mean, as long as
I'm looking at the icon and uses the Formula One tires where they actually like have like a white line around it.
I mean, I made the icons. I didn't put two and two together. That's what you meant.
It's white text. It looks like a white wall, not really.
All right, I'll buy it. I thought that they had slipped in another one and I didn't know. I was like, when did IndyCar add a hard compound? All right.
Wood just made a pass for position. This pass, David Adams moved himself up into oops. That move himself up into 8th place.
Yep, up 2 spots. Slow progress, but progress nonetheless. I'm more curious about Zegers in the number 8. Where did he come from? Because he's been charging forward pretty quickly. And I'm going to guess that he's come up from pretty deep in the field, 19th to 11th. So he is charging forward, has a little bit of ways to go. Mark Stanley pulls off into pit lane, so Zegers will pick up that spot and move into the top 10.
Oh, notably, Joe Branch also back now in pit lane, and in his box, I think, might have been Crash, because,
yeah, you can see the damage.
What happened
here? He hit something. Ran wide.
Gets
hit by Kingsbury.
Yeah, and you can see the right front. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So for Joe Branch to bring the car back to the pits, really had just had a fast tow back to the pits. So he's, I think, effectively going to be out in 20th. So we got Lizos with just about 20. Lizos with 20 cars still running. Aaron Roos in 21st is still kicking around the track, 2 laps down.
So 18 laps into our 51-lap event, closing in on the halfway point. I'm even more curious to see who just tries to just do this on a one-stopper and go straight to the halfway point and pit at lap 25 or 26. That'd be the strategy that my stupid brain would try, because I don't know how to do math any other way other than divide in 2. But I think we'll see some drivers, again, try that 2-stopper strategy, and I can see that working, especially if you can have the pace to back it up.
Yeah, and I imagine that most drivers are sticking to the one-stopper. I feel like if you were planning on doing 2, you might have already come in. And we've already seen a few drivers make a stop. You see lap car getting out of the way. I believe that's Eric Gonzalez. Getting out of the way for Andrew Wood and Claude, continuing their fight for 7th place.
I have to say, I don't, just for those in the background that don't understand how I'm announcing this race, this is very weird. I'm not used to not having sound. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, there's no sound that comes through, right?
Yeah, I'm normally on the other end of this producing, and man, it's a weird feeling.
It's a weird feeling because you're normally the one pushing the buttons. I just talk normally.
Right. Yeah. It's I'm glad that you can switch hit like that. That's very convenient when I have.
I thought you were gonna say I'm glad you can push buttons. Though, like, yeah, I would be glad that I could push buttons.
They teach you that before you can even go to school. You push the button that makes the cow sound and the pig sound.
Those little books there.
Maybe we should get you a stream deck that has every time you switch scenes, it does a little cow sound. Is that Zegers?
I think Zegers is in the pits and in the wall. I think this is all by himself here.
Oh man.
Oh.
This had to be down at the next corner.
Oh no, hardware failure.
Hardware failure. Yep. That is awful. That is the most frustrating way to have your night end, is all of a sudden your wheel just locks and bam. Yep, that could be a computer crash, that could be a wheel or pedal issue, but either way, that is really, it could be a cat pulling the cord out. I've heard of that one happening before, but it's never a fun way to have that happen. Meanwhile, we're looking at the race leader, Philip Kraus. Blocker.
Liam Quinn.
Never mind. We're not looking at the leader.
Yeah, here's Philip Kraus. Not actually too far.
They're close enough. I was going to
note. There's Liam Quinn right up the road.
You know what? We're going to need to start requiring that everybody uses a unique color. And someone's going to get brown, and they're going to have to deal with it. So Kraus is leading, but look at the gap between him and Blocker. Only about 2 seconds. That has not gone up significantly in the first 20 laps.
Yeah, it really has. And also taking a look at Adam Blocker, his last lap, 106.9. Best lap, not too far off. He's been on consistent laps, which I think we kind of expect. Blocker's been consistently fast. We've known him for doing exactly that in and out of many different tracks, and especially the road courses. been absolutely dominant on them. Definitely the man to beat, although tonight Philip Kraus is the man to beat. I'm curious if this is just honestly Blocker maybe, biding his time, because he's been managing this gap. It kind of grew to 2 seconds since the start. Never really went away, so maybe he's just kind of saving his stuff for later.
Well, I mean, if you look at the lap times, his tires haven't really fallen off at all, or unless he's managing them that well, because, I mean, 0.2 of a second over 20 laps, that's almost no fall off to speak of, really, for an alternate tire. So this tells me that the Reds can go pretty long. They can go half the race without any fall off, Finian. Why don't you just, I mean, I guess that makes drivers like Liam Quinn, their strategy is very interesting, right? Because you're running red tires for longer.
Yeah, I think really this all comes down to the ability of the driver, because you can carry a set of reds a very long amount of time. Problem is, it is very hard to do that. And let's see, another driver might have made the trip down to pit lane. His name is Marshall Stanley.
Oh man, did he get in the wall too? Oh, yeah, just
wow! And
picked up a passenger.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was. It might have been Riley Thompson. Trying to see if I can find him on the ticker. No, it's not Riley Thompson. Not sure who that is.
That wasn't Andreas Ike, was it?
Oh no, it was.
Oh, that's the points leader, Finian. Crashed. That's it. That car's done for the night.
Yeah, he's
so the points
to
lead.
limp
This
it
is
down to pit lane.
Yeah, this is championship hopes in shatters and tatters for Andreas Ike. This is.
Yeah, I should mention that I was informed by, I'm trying to remember who it was that told me, one of the drivers in this series. It was Andrew Wood that told me that there is a bug. Not sure they fixed it, but there is a bug. If you can make it back to the pits with the tires quote-unquote attached, this is considered attached, you can come in and it'll fix the car.
Well, let's see if that rings true.
So I think that's why Andreas tried to limp the car back down to pit lane. And yeah, there he is. There you see the suspension fixed.
All right, so he's going to stick it out. And I mean, that's, again, this is still catastrophic for his chances to be up front in this race, but he can still get points, which is crucial.
Speaking of being up front, race leaders come down to pit lane. He's brought on Austin Speedy and Brian Carey down. Blocker are going to stick out another lap. So most of the guys essentially coming on halfway. Imagine it's going to be easy going to the whites and not the whites, going to the blacks and finish the race.
Yeah, I mean, this is a strategy that I would have pulled, right? You go out front. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do the go out front part, but you can run half the race, just change the tires once, and then you're done, right? You just run all the way to the checkers, and I think that's the strategy that I probably would have picked, knowing that the fuel could take you to that point.
There comes across out of pit lane Andrew Wood, the car that just flew on by, so his strategy working out okay so far. I think actually he's yet to come down pit lane. Yes, he's still yet to come down. He's come down pit lane once, but that was during the caution that came out early in the race, so he's still yet to pit. So we'll inherit second place for now.
So Brian Carey running inside the top 5. We haven't talked a whole lot about him, but remember, he was our winner from Barber Motorsports Park earlier in the season, so he's certainly, is that correct? No, it was Adam Crane. I was thinking, yes. Yeah, I had my drivers mixed up there for a minute, but Adam, what was I going with that?
Talking about
Brian Carey. Yeah, man, I could have sworn that he was real close to winning a road race one of these days.
It was Belle Isle. Finished second.
That's what I was thinking of. He was 39 seconds off the win. I guess it wasn't that close, but that's where I was getting that from. It's been a while.
I mean, honestly, that race was honestly good if you just survived it, and I mean, you definitely kind of earned a medal for surviving because you just picked up a really solid amount of points. Andrew Woods coming to pit lane, so has Adam Blocker. So, and actually, as he comes in, he's going to come back out, and there is Philip Kraus taking back the race lead.
So we're hearing that fuel, you can't go 28 laps. So I think there's still going to have to be another stop, but maybe it's just a splash. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, I never know the strategies of these races. They're just long enough to make it confusing.
Yeah, and I think again, we might have seen a lot of the strategy shift again because the caution came out. Didn't shorten the race by a whole lot, but shortened it by 3 laps. That could be quite a bit, especially around the razor edge of fuel. So Liam Quinn was one of those guys that decided to just continue, I guess, off where probably most of the drivers would have, with a 2-stopper.
You're a genius, Finian. The Raze Energy Edge. Hey, look, I'm not a marketing genius. I'm just saying that I can take the things you say and turn them into.
I am not one either. Ooh, of note, most of the guys still on red tires, so I think they are planning on coming back down again. In fact, every single driver on the track right now is on red tires except for David Adams. And remember, we were looking at earlier that most of the drivers did start the race on reds, except for very few, notably Liam Quinn. There's one driver that started on lights. So,
what is the push to pass breakdown for Kraus and Blocker, Finian? How much do they have left? Because crucially, I'm curious to see if Blocker has more than Kraus does.
Yeah, so for Philip Kraus, he's got 8 push to passes left to use. For Adam Blocker, same story there. Although he's got to make up a little bit more of a hurdle. We saw him last time we checked in, these guys are 2-second gaps now, just about 3.2 seconds. And then notably back, Ryan Carey's got 10 uses with him, Austin the Speedy 7, and Henry Bennett in 5th with 10. So both the drivers being very conservative with the push to pass so far, which is not to be unexpected. These guys typically wait till the final few laps to really start getting on that.
Yeah, it's really a resource that you want to use up when you really need it, and for a lot of drivers that can be at the top of the order. For others, it's down at just a little bit. Sorry, I got a message mid-sentence there, and I had to read it. I lost my train of thought. It happens a lot. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. So we're at the halfway point of this race now. As soon as we cross the line this time through, you're having a look here at Henry Bennett, that 007 now back towards the front. That is your race leader, and going around his teammate.
I don't think that is his teammate.
Never mind.
I don't know who it was.
This hotel Wi-Fi.
I think William
resolution. Okay,
in,
great.
I forgot I forgot. I'm only streaming at 720 because I don't have.
Well, it's just I got hotel Wi-Fi, man. I got the purple pixels, and I go, that's Liam Quinn.
Well, there are a lot of similar looking cars, and yeah, I guess it is kind of hard. Can't quite see it clearly.
Update on Dan Ziegers. That was a Fanatec update that decided to install itself. You know.
I'm gonna make sure I install that update before I do it.
I'm not a Fanatec. I'm just kidding. I love Fanatec. Fanatec, please sponsor.
First, you gotta say the name right. It's Fanatic.
That's not true. I called corporate.
Well, here's Ray Kingsbury, and we saw him earlier in the race in the wall in turn 1 with the wing damage, and he managed to recover back. I think he continued for quite a bit. He's been out of pit lane for 15 laps now, so he's been out here running laps, and he's been up into 10th place after recovering from that damage, trying to work on. He's gotten past Nito. David Adams is his next contender, and he's 20 seconds up the road, so he's got a long ways to go.
Well, I would say that that being 10th after the start of the race that he had is a pretty good night. Even if he just finishes here, I'd consider that a success. Now, Ray Kingsbury's season has been fairly successful this time around. Right now, he runs. Where is Ray? He's 6th in the points, about 116 back from the leader, 22 back from Henry Bennett. So Kingsbury's got a little bit of work if he wants to get inside the top 5 in the points, but it's been a pretty good season. 11 races that he's run, 6 top 10s and 4 top 5s. Correction, 1 top 5. His last couple finishes, though, at the road courses, Finian, not amazing. 18th at Mid-Ohio, 8th at Road America, which isn't bad, but 18th at Indy, which was not a great finish. It's just what kind of been up and down, right? At 8th at Phoenix, and a 2nd at Barber, 15th at Texas, 7th at Pocono, just kind of bouncing and pinging all off the board. So I think there's just some consistency that Kingsbury needs to find, and getting inside the top 10 and finishing there would be a good step forward.
Yeah, I think it's really everything to gain from here, though. Adam Blocker, I believe, right in behind in 74, trying to put him a lap down and chase back Philip Kraus. And Kraus, I think, really started to jump on it, trying to break away from Adam Blocker. We saw the gap being managed at 2 seconds, being managed still at 3.3. And curious if this is all we're going to see from Blocker. Well, I should say that last time by it was 5/10 faster than Kraus. Not sure if lap traffic had anything to play in it.
Sure it does. I mean, even lead lap traffic, it can massively affect your lap times, just because if someone gets in your way, pretty difficult to pass around here. You have a couple passing opportunities that are really easy, and the other ones are very, very difficult. And you have to really be on top of somebody to get by them. Here you see Blocker go by down into turn 1. Kingsbury's going to make that easy for him and voluntarily go a lap down, but would rather do that than be in the way. as we approach 20-ish laps to go, and that opens up the pit window here to the end of the race. We'll see if anybody comes soon. I'd expect Liam Quinn to be one of the first drivers to come down and to go on the, I guess he would double stint and go, or I should say double alternate and put the Reds back on for the last bit of the race. Oh, he just already made his pit stop.
No, that is inaccurate.
Definitely wrong.
Yes, that is, he's been out here for 16 laps. Ray Kingsbury also has notably been out here for a while, 17 laps on his set of tires, and Riley Thompson, the longest of anyone in the field, 19 laps since he's last made a trip down onto pit lane.
Yeah, so he's been out for quite some time, but again, I expect Quinn to come on down shortly to make that last stint about equal to the others. There's Andreas Eich in the number 76 back rolling now in 15th, but 2 laps down. The only other drivers on his lap are Showen and Greenfield. So he could get up to 13th in theory, but would need a whole lot of luck to get any higher.
Yeah, he is 45 seconds behind Tony Showen. That's a bit of a deficit, I think some would say. So a long way to go before he can try to pass anyone. I think he's really just going to have to hope for more guys bidding it in the wall. This team getting out of the way for one of the race leaders.
You're watching the GP of Long Beach for the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series. Again, this event is brought to you by Raze Energy. And we're here in Long Beach, California for our 6th to last race of the season, our penultimate round at a road course. Again, my name is Kyle Heyer alongside Finian DeCuna. 21 laps to go for the race leader, Philip Kraus, who has led a whole bunch of laps today, I think almost all of them in that number 19 car. Blocker runs second, then Brian Carey, Austin SPD, and then Henry Bennett, the rest of the top 5 here. 3.5 seconds between the 2 race leaders, but Kraus is looking very, very strong, Finian. This is sort of par for the course. He's a past champion of the series. I wouldn't expect anything less, but he is 4th in the standings and could use a really good round like this to get it into a shot to reasonably win the championship.
Yeah, and he's also clinched the amount of most laps led for this race, 28 laps led, so we'll get bonus points for that. And again, it is an absolute duel between these 2 drivers in the standings. Kraus has got to make up quite a few more points on Blocker, but this is where you got to start. You got to start somewhere. I think he's about 50 points in behind Blocker coming into this round, so gonna make an indent. I'm trying to remember what's the points gap between first and second place. So it's a 10.
12 points.
It's 10 or 12.
10? 12. 12 points. Ike and Blocker.
Okay. Oh no, sorry. I meant for each race. The points you earn in each race. I think it's 10. I think it's 60 for. I was just looking. 60 for first, and 50 for second, not including the bonus points. So Kraus already looking at gaining plus 10 and then some for just absolutely dominating this race. As I believe one of the TDR cars just came into pit lane. That was
probably Thompson.
No, and I see Andreas Eich back in pit lane.
Sure missing a front wing.
Yeah, he's been there for about a minute now. Riley Thompson was the driver I was talking about that came down the pit lane.
Yeah, Thompson peels off. He'd been out there for quite some time. You see Ike missing that front wing, so whatever prompted him to hit pit lane was pretty severe, and that will probably end this race. Yeah, why not?
On the track at the moment, trying to have this cooperate.
You can see the right front tire canted in.
There we go.
Down. This is down in turn 1, and
that was
hardware failure again for him. We'll go right on board. Let's see.
Didn't look as oh yeah.
Yep. Oh man. Fanatec updates.
I know. It's a bad time to be a Fanatic. Use Fanatic stuff, and I'm saying that with a Fanatic wheel right in front of me.
And not fans of Fanatic tonight.
You're not
fans
a fanatic.
Of Raze Energy.
You're not a Fanatic. A Fanatic.
All right. 19 laps to go this time through, and Kraus continues to lead. What is it going to take for Blocker to beat him? Is it possible? I think Kraus is looking the best of anybody here, Finian, but Adam Blocker always manages to pull something out.
He usually does. I mean, he was still hair faster last time through. I think about a 10th up on Philip Kraus, but I think he's going to need to do a little bit more than a 10th here and there, being about gaps now expanded up to 4 seconds, which is still fairly close. But I was anticipating Blocker to be holding something back, pacing himself that first stint, but it hasn't really shown anything too crazy or too out of the ordinary to look like he's going to chase back Philip Kraus. I think he may just realize he's met his match, at least for this round, and just take home solid points in second place. not do anything too crazy. With the championship on the line, you don't want to overdrive yourself. It's so easy to do, especially at a street course because concrete wall is right there.
So the number 80, Wilson, in the number 9 position. Let's have a look at him. We haven't really talked about him a whole lot. Think way back to the beginning of this season, Finney, and the lack of luck that he had was honestly shocking. He crashed out in the opening corner after sitting on pole all the way back at Homestead. He just had a really tough season. And right now he's sitting in 9th after starting in 9th, so he hasn't really been able to claw very high forward, but he sits 23rd in the standings. His finishes this season, he's only run 5 races, but they were 30th, 12th, 30th, 4th, and 11th. And the frustration behind it, I think, is at Homestead in Texas, he was starting up very, very close to the front.
Had a little bit of a scare. I believe that was Trevor Greenfield right in front, and he had a little bit of a tank slapper in the fountain section. You see Nito going to work his way on by.
Yeah, so that will grab him. That was actually for a position.
That was
so
nice.
Greenfield is, again, a lap down. Kingsbury just ahead of him, ahead a lap. So we only have 8 drivers on the lead lap, and this is typically how these races at street tracks like this go, Finney. You've got the guys that are setting the pace up front. They're the ones that are able to make passes and really set a fervent pace. You have to be, for lack of a better term, gutsy and ballsy to be fast around here. If you're even the slightest bit afraid, you're going slow. You just have to be fearless and just hope and pray that everyone else around you doesn't create a conflict that ends your day in heartbeat, because it's very, very easy to have things go wrong. But the drivers that are fast around here are fast enough that they can put the entire field of lap down by the end of the race.
Yeah, pretty much so. And a lot of these guys are just kind of hanging on for position. As you mentioned, just kind of making their way around the track and just avoiding ending their own races here. As we look at a battle for third that's been kind of brewing here and there, is really starting to heat up here. Austin is speedy working on Brian Carey. Battle for the final step of the podium, as Carey was looking like he's getting a little bit hot down in that corner.
Yeah. Carey, again, it looks like he's driving a little bit defensively right now. Speedy looks so calm, cool, and collected and very smooth, which benefits you here at Long Beach. It's very easy when you see these 90-degree corners to try to be very darty about it. Whoa, no! Speedy makes a mistake and crashes hard. That's it. Well, that's it. Commentator curse.
Yeah,
again.
right there. I was going to say he was pushing a little bit hard in the last corner, and even there, and just went flying into the tire
He was
barriers.
smooth until he did that. But
very unfortunate end to his day. I think Brian Carey's going to be able to take a sigh of relief. He doesn't have to worry about third place. He's got 24 seconds back to Henry Bennett. So I think safe to say he's going to more likely than not end up in third, unless something catastrophic were to happen.
Like missing a corner and hitting a tire barrier? Okay, let's not talk about Brian Carey for the rest of the race then. There's Henry Bennett. Started up towards the front, not on pole like that would suggest, but running 4th at the moment. And this has been a quietly good night for the 007. And this season, it's been what could be described as a good season. He's running 5th in the standings. His last couple finishes, a 3rd at Mid-Ohio, 11th at Road America, a 6th at Indianapolis. Before then, though, Richmond and Chicago, 24th and 21st. The ovals have been tough for him. Other than Indy, he has had a real hard time at the ovals. 33rd at Phoenix, a 21st at Texas, a 21st at Chicagoland, 24th at Richmond. Not his thing this season. The road races have been a lot better for him.
And looking at getting another top flight to his name out of road course, if he can continue on. He doesn't have a whole lot of pressure from behind. It's about 12 seconds back to Andrew Wood. Andrew Wood's been having a pretty solid day, all things considered. Whoa, gets very close to the wall there. Have a look at that on the replay again. I'm pretty sure he kissed the wall there.
I think he just wanted to paint it with the red on the side of the tires, make the stewards think he had the blacks on. But
didn't hear contact. Didn't hear contact sound, but he got awfully close to it.
No, that's just called inch perfect. That's what that is. So 15 laps to go here at the GP of Long Beach, presented by Raze Energy for the and there's Nito around, I believe. That's Wilson.
Oh,
that's
missing
big
a
damage
wing as well.
Man, the end of this race has been real tough. We had a pretty good middle portion. You see him get into the wall prior to this and then jump the curb, and that's what did him in. That's going to be major damage. I don't think it's going to be catastrophic, though. I don't think the suspension is broken.
No, should be able to fix it and get back out on track. He's going to be a long drive to the back. Tires.
Oh, well.
Not having a fun time, so he's going to be in the pits for a while. It's going to be what we saw with Andreas Ike. He might go a lap or two down in the process, however, so it's going to definitely be the end of a top 10 run, I think, as Kingsbury is... Actually, no, Kingsbury's not close to being up near him, but Kingsbury will essentially pass him for 10th years. He's just trying to slowly limp the car back to pit lane. Oh, Austin Speedy, I think, has had...
Yep, he's the one that crashed a couple laps ago. We caught that as it happened, unfortunately.
I was thinking, because I could have sworn I saw someone else get into it and someone looking me up. Alright, I'm hoping I didn't miss anything too important, but...
Oh, watch that last corner. You don't want to rip that tire off.
And Nito going to make his way back to pit lane.
Well, I'm glad that bug exists that you can fix that wheel, because I feel like you can replace all the components, the hubs and everything in real life. Why couldn't you do it in here?
I mean...
Limitation of the damage model, I guess?
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see. Here's Andrew Wood down in pit lane for, I think, his final stop, and I think we may see more drivers come on down. A little splash and dash for him till the end.
Yeah, I think with 13 to go, I mean, this is a window to basically just run super hard to the end on alternates if you have them left, or the primaries if you've gone that route. But this is only a 12 or 13-minute sprint to the end, so you might as well just put whatever your fastest shoes are on and go for a run.
Yeah, speaking of which, Liam Quinn, he has come down, came about 6 laps ago, came for his final stop of the race, so he is good to go till the end. And we anticipate most of the drivers up ahead of him having to pit. In fact, he's got Andrew Wood just 2 seconds up the road with fresh tires. He's trying to break away from Quinn. We'll see if these guys can get into a battle here for 7th place. Quinn can catch back up.
So keeping an eye on the front battle, it's 2.7 seconds between Kraus and Blocker. Now that's Blocker rather, working into some lap traffic. Looks like they're going to pull out of the way. 2.4, 2.5 seconds, that's been about where the lead has been for the majority of the race. Finian, is there anything that Blocker can do strategy-wise to launch ahead of Kraus? I don't think so. I think you're kind of locked in at this point. If you're not faster, you're not faster.
Yeah, last time through, Blocker was, let's see, that was almost 0.6 of a second faster than Kraus, and I think that's because Kraus caught the lap traffic. I believe that was David Adams that they just worked their way past. Indeed, David Adams in 6th. Just to show you how much separation there is throughout most of the field. They just lapped 6th place. So, yeah, I think with that, Kraus, I think he just caught Adams in a bad place traffic-wise, but that gap did close down quite significantly. Blocker could be a little bit more aggressive, might have a shot here, but again, it's always that risk versus reward. Is it worth risking pushing that car even further, especially now the track's heated up, and I think we started to see the results of it getting a little more slippery.
To answer your question, I think no. I don't think it's worth it, right? Blocker's running 2nd. The championship leader is crashed. I don't see any point in Blocker pushing the car over the limit to try to go run down Kraus. I don't think it's worth it. I think he's going to basically swap points leads no matter what. So I don't think the extra points are worth it at this time. I think Blocker is going to have to settle for 2nd unless he can safely go past Kraus. And we all know that that's not likely to happen with only 10 laps to go in a pit stop. So I think if you are not leading at this point, if I'm Blocker, I'm not trying any harder to go win this race. I've already won the things that I needed to win today. I don't need the checkered flag.
Yeah, I think it's really just a matter of how much of a threat Blocker is going to start viewing Kraus. I think if anyone should view him as a threat, it's definitely, if there's anyone you should view as a threat, it is Philip Kraus, because if I'm not mistaken, I really hope to God I'm not mistaken with this, is that he was our defending series champion.
You're correct.
Okay, good.
I hope, as long as I'm also not mistaken. Dude,
that would be really
the number
bad.
of races, the number of series, the number of times we see other drivers cross series, I get so confused and miscoordinated and
I just checked on
discombobulated.
I just checked on Manley, so yes, he was the champion last season. So we're both good. Also, note too, he only won one race last season too, which I also find quite surprising. This one I thought he won at least 2 or 3. Only one race at Michigan to take that championship.
Yeah, hey, I mean, the points leader right now, or I guess prior to Long Beach, Andreas Ike hadn't yet won a race, and certainly didn't win this one unless you're talking about the hauler trip home.
He lost that. He got beat by Flynn Lazier, Matt Hollova, Christopher, Jacob Oster, Daniel Ziegler. Oh, there's a lot of people that are retired out of this race.
I mean, this is, you know, going back to Belle Isle. Well, we have 3 cars that didn't crash. I mean, this is the challenge of road racing on a street circuit, right? This is what you have to deal with. Is
Wood back down on pit lane, and he's driven back here. Okay, I want to rewind here when he's coming in. Is he? Looks like he's missing some wing there.
Yeah, let's see where that happened. How do you pick that up? He's running wide at corner exit somewhere. Got himself in trouble. Well, he's got all the pieces. Well, that's Riley Thompson.
1 second. Went off. This is when he's coming in.
This is.
Here we go. Yeah.
Exited 7 here. Yep. Oh, just he got a little too close, a little too many times.
Right on board. This corner is dangerous because it's so tempting to just throw it in, and there's a side barrier. Oh.
And he just clipped just the end of the barrier, and that's what ripped the wing off. And of course, you're going to be a lot less effective without that wing than with it. Gotta watch that curb there as well. That'll kick you too.
Yeah, we saw that happen with Nino, but with Andrew Wood, with that, he's still in 8th place. And notably also Josh Klog has come down. He's made his final stop of the evening. Gonna be coming out in 6th place, and also right ahead of him is not Liam Quinn, sorry, that is
Philip Kraus. Philip Kraus came in and he is gone, so Kraus is in and out. He has made his last stop of the day. And Adam Blocker, Brian Carey have yet to pit, but I think that will be essentially everybody in the front group, minus the 2 that I already mentioned.
Yeah, so still, I guess, waiting out of the leaders. Yeah, as you mentioned, just Adam Blocker and Brian Carey yet to come down to the pits.
All right, so
Blocker's
under 10 laps to go.
Out.
Yep, so 8 laps to go now. There's Joe Branch returning to the racetrack.
Oh, and also of note, too, Blocker's been using the button a lot more as well.
Well, clear racetrack, why not, right? I mean, you've got a clear open track, you might as well use the button. And this is his opportunity to get time back, right? Because it's way easier to do this in clean racetrack than it is to try to run down Kraus while he's in the Aero bubble, as well as having to pass him. So last lap of 106.9. That's not significantly faster than Kraus was running, but we'll see if it pans out.
Brian Carey down on pit lane as well. You see Kraus just working fast, so able to take back 2nd place. Kraus also on the button as well, heading down to turn 1.
It's so funny because you know that they're not communicating, but they both know simultaneously that they need to be on the button when they have clear racetrack in front of them. And for Kraus, he's probably just going to use 1 or 2 up per lap to basically use them all up until the end of the race. And Blocker is in.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see, because I would say, you know, the slightly older red tire, especially if you've been managing it a little bit, is better than the black tires when you just come out of the pits. They're pretty slow the first lap or 2 when you start to build up heat. So I'm curious to see if Blocker, if he's been driving fast enough, he's been able to gain something here. He's about 2-second gap coming down into pit lane, pulls into his box nice and steadily. Whereas Philip Kraus, he goes up into the jacks. Kraus working through the final corner now.
Yeah, the gap was only about 2.5 seconds, so it's still going to be close. And we should probably see Blocker leaving the box as Kraus comes out of the final corner here. So across the start-finish line to start, 7 laps to go. Blocker should be leaving the pits right now. There he is. He's going to get past, but he made up, it looks like, sometime. But I think once this all shakes out, it's going to be roughly the same.
Yeah, I honestly think that might have been all she wrote, at least for now at the moment, because Blocker, those tires are going to feel really slow. He's going to have to turn them up pretty quickly to try to chase back Philip Kraus, but that was very close to working there. You only need maybe a few more tenths to try to throw it in. The trouble is that pit lane exit. You have to go all the way to the end where the blue line is, and then make the turn.
Pit lane is the meanest pit lane ever. Because it's just, you get to the end of the row of pit box, you just want to go. You just want to go. You want to go fast, and then you have to do 30 miles an hour for another 6 miles before you can light them up again. So that is a frustrating pit lane to leave the box.
And you see the gap between Kraus and Blocker, 1.6 seconds between them. As Blocker tries to chase down Kraus here. Who's going to be faster on the black tires? Whoa, a little bit of a lock up there.
Yeah, well, he made up about a full second, which is not insignificant, but the problem is that was done in pretty much pristine conditions, of which he will not have for the final 6 laps of this race. So he's going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, just run him down and pass him. A lot easier said than done.
Well, these guys have 4 push passes left, using it a bit. I think they were at 8 before this final set of pit stops started. Both, ironically, ended up using the same amount.
Whoa, really close to the wall at corner exit. Very tight.
That lack of grip catches up on you very quickly, especially when you've been running on the other tire for a majority of this race, 40 some odd laps. Take a little bit of adjustment of the brain to just kind of get used to these tires. It's just, again, just slightly less grip and just kind of enter just a little bit slower and watch where you're turning.
You know, I almost wonder about the psychology of that, right? I mean, is it better to put on the faster stuff first and the slower stuff second so that you're overdriving, or would you rather put the slow stuff on and then the fast stuff and then be underdriving? I mean, either way, you're not really performing at the best. I'd say it's riskier to do it this way because you're going to be pushing too hard on a tire that can't take it, and you're going to have more potential to crash. But it seems like the guys out front know how to handle the tires well enough, or that's not a realistic possibility. But again, for someone like me, I'd probably go black and then red just because it'd be something I could work up to the pace versus being on it and then having to back it down.
Yeah, that's just kind of the great thing about tire strategy. You really kind of can play into different drivers' strengths and weaknesses. Drivers can kind of plan their race out based off of the tire, you know, where they want to push versus where they want to be. Maybe a little bit slower but more consistent, and the strategy definitely opens up to them with different tire compounds. As block of the gap now under 1.5 seconds. Closest has been really since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds. Oh, really tight to the walls, though. But only 4 laps to go when we get to the line. That's going to require a mistake from Kraus, I'm sure. Blocker might be able to get there if he can eat in at a tenth or so a lap and be within striking distance. But to actually make a pass, it's going to require a mistake. The difference, though, between now and earlier is that Blocker is close enough maybe to make Kraus just a little bit nervous. And we know that the psychology of this is sometimes easier to abuse than the race car.
Last time on the straightaway, Blocker's on push passes on it yet again. We've got 2 uses left. Kraus not even bumming to touch button. I think he's just waiting for Blocker to come in close.
Yeah, I mean that's he's doing this very defensively. Kraus is, and I like that because he's conserving all that extra energy for one last-ditch effort to run away from Blocker once he's used up all the fast juice. So under 4 minutes left in this race, and Blocker's going to run himself out of options and time, but there's some lap traffic ahead. I think that's his teammate, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal.
Maybe big deal to Blocker, although I imagine probably going to stay out of the way for both these drivers. Indeed, he will.
So moving forward and coming now to 3 laps to go, only 4 drivers on the lead lap, which is similar to our race at Belle Isle. I think the attrition has been slightly less than Detroit.
Yeah, we've had, I think, 17 guys still running on the racetrack, I think, opposed to almost 10 or 11 compared to Detroit. And we started with a lot more cars at Detroit, too, if my memory serves me correct.
3 laps to go. Kraus leads by 1.3 seconds over Blocker.
I think we might have just lost connection from Austin as Speedy.
I saw him drop down the order.
Yeah. Slowly dropping down. His car is nowhere near on the track, and his penalty's not coming on, so I think he might be
gone. Bye, Speedy. Gone. All right. Well, hey, 1.1 seconds, even closer. And all this takes is one slip up from Kraus. This just requires one little mistake, and that's not a lot to ask for. But Philip has been so consistently good over the course of all the runs today and in the past. He just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's just a very well-calculated driver.
Yeah, those are really the most dangerous drivers to deal with. You know, a driver who knows their limits, where to place a car, and how far they can go, while still being incredibly fast. And I mean, really, for both of them, I'd say maybe Blocker's made a few more mistakes here and there compared to Kraus, but both of them are very even level. And I'm really hoping this battle in the championship gets closer. And I think with Kraus, the performance he's been putting up as of late, especially if he can try to hold off the 74, he's looking pretty good. And if Kraus can get it done, he's going to be win number 4 of the season.
Oh, man, he is pushing a little bit, though. Kraus, I know he probably doesn't want to look like he is, but he is certainly on the defense. He was very tight at the exit of the turn 1 wall. It's under a second now, the gap. A little bit of a curb jump there. And now it's 0.8 of a second. I mean, we got lap traffic to deal with, too. It's not completely over yet, Finian. And I never say it's over till it's over, but Blocker still has an upward climb, but I don't think it's impossible by any stretch.
No, it definitely is not impossible. I think far from it here. Looking at the push passes, guys, on the left, Kraus has 2 uses, Blocker has 1 left. And again, as you mentioned, I think really it's going to come down to these drivers both pushing towards the edge here this final lap and just making sure they don't overstep, because both these guys are going to be gunning for this win here. Here we go into the hairpin.
Whoa, under the brakes for the hairpin for the penultimate time. Climbing up onto the front straightaway. White flag is waving one more time around here at the GP of Long Beach, presented by Raze Energy. Kraus, blocker, 7/10 separate as they come across the start-finish line. Just under 2 miles left, and there's traffic to deal with, Finian.
You see blocker on the button. Kraus is on it as well, just to try to maintain the gap. Where they catch this traffic can really change his battle. You can see him hold. That's Greenfield up ahead, gonna slam on the brakes, get out of the way. But I think that cost Kraus a few tenths.
0.6 of a second now is the gap as they work through turn number 4 and head to 5. Very tight to the wall. Think blocker might have scraped it just a touch. It's very tight. 3 car lengths between them as they come into turn number 6. And Kraus still leads. The gap is as low as it's been all race long, Finian, but they're just running out of time for blocker to make a pass. It's still going to require a mistake, I think, from Kraus.
Yeah, and Kraus has one more push to pass. Use available, making use of it. You can see him trying to expand that gap here out of the back straightaway.
Coming to the last corner one more time through the hairpin. Philip Kraus has dominated this race, has led almost every single lap through the final corner. This will be his 4th win on the season, and he will continue to climb the order in the points. The GP of Long Beach, presented by Raze Energy, goes to Philip Kraus. Blocker second, 0.6 back. What a drive between those two. That was a fantastic battle right there at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Great stuff. Blocker putting on pressure, wasn't able to make Kraus fold to that pressure as he gets win number 4 quite a bit ways back, 24 seconds, 25 seconds to be exact. Is Brian Carey working his way through the hairpin, and he's gonna come home, round out your podium. And then it's even further back from that. Henry Bennett will be your last finisher on the lead lap, with only 4 drivers finishing on the lead lap.
Well,
that's crazy stuff there.
It is pretty wild. Philip Kraus goes to victory lane, blocker second. The points leader, Ike, finishes 15th. That's going to be catastrophic for his points lead. But 15th does mark the last position of the drivers that are entered in the raffle to get a $25 prize to repsports.com. Let's do that drawing right now, Finian. Tell me who finished in 13th place. They're the lucky winner.
Tony Schowen in the 31.
Tony Schowen in the number 31 gets a $25 prize to Rep Sports and Raze Energy. So congratulations, Tony. And we'll make sure that that is known to everybody that is involved with that. And big thanks again to Raze Energy for coming on board and sponsoring the GP of Long Beach. Again, Raze Energy offers healthy energy drinks, pre-workout, protein and food, recovery, and weight loss products. You can check them out at the website repsports.com. That's REPP sports.com. Thanks again to them. You can use the code TheSavvyNinja to save 15% off your entire order on the website. So Philip Kraus comes on through to celebrate here at the start-finish line here, Finian. What a drive, but again, Philip, reigning champion, proving even with the team switch that he is still on top.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and this is kind of amazing. You know, he won the championship last season with only 1 win. This season he has 4, and the season is still far from being over. We're just about halfway through. I think really just 2/3 of the way on through. There's still more races for this man to win, and he's absolutely on fire. And it's kind of almost amazing to consider the fact that he's not leading the championship. I mean, I think he's just not had enough of good races to put him in that championship spot, but he's definitely closing in.
Have a look at our race results here before we talk to our race winners and move on. Here's Philip Kraus, Adam Blocker, Brian Carey, the top 3, but Henry Bennett, Liam Quinn. That strategy that he pulled actually ended up working out pretty well. Pulls in a top 5. David Adams, we didn't really talk a whole lot about him or Josh Clark today, but 6th and 7th, pretty solid runs for those two.
Yeah, David Adams and Clark were pretty much around each other the entire day. Adams is chasing Clark for the longest time, was finally able to get around him to get that 6th place spot. Andrew Wood going to finish in 8th. Kingsbury with a great climb up just inside the top 10. Riley Thompson in the 56th, rounding up the top 10, 2 laps down.
A look at 11th through 20th. Trevor Greenfield 3 laps down in the number 36, and Wilson Nito in the 80. Even with that crash, rebounded for 12th. Tony Schowen, and the winner of that prize from Raze Energy. Aaron Roofs in the 26th, and Austin SPD in the number 7 finishes 15th. Ike, points leader. Catastrophic round this time around 16th place. And Joe Branch, Marshall Stanley, Eric Gonzalez, Daniel Ziegers, the rest of the top 20.
And rounding out the final few drivers, Jacob Oscar, Christopher, Matt Oliver, Fleming, all of which did not finish the race, finishing quite a few laps down. Very unfortunate to see some of these guys, especially Ziegers. Really good. He was flying up through the order, curious to see where he could have gotten. Had his equipment not failed, and also I'm trying to remember off the top of my head the second driver that had equipment failure.
It was Ike, I think, that had that issue. It was a second crash.
Yes.
I believe. We've got Brian Carey here, finished third place tonight. Brian, congratulations. Another solid round. A little far back from the front two, but a podium finish regardless. Nice, clean race for you. Take us through your night.
Yeah, no, it was the first stint there. I was able to keep up with the guys pretty well. I was making my fuel number, so I'm going to try to maximize my time with my tires. And I mean, really, my race was get Austin covered. He kind of the cold tires, brake lock, the distributor there. So I got me third place. I knew he was catching me up, but I still wanted to make the fuel number. Figured I could hold him off, and I'm not sure what happened, but he was gone at some point, and from there on, it was just cruising to the end.
Seemed like there was a lot of attrition this week, as there always seems to be with these street races. Now, what's the key to success here in surviving the race? I mean, it seems like a lot of drivers, even late in the race, are making catastrophic mistakes. What are you doing different from everybody else that's keeping you on track longer than everyone else?
I don't know if it's different from everyone else, but really what I like to do here, it's the same thing at Detroit and street tracks, is I know what pace I can run. The temptation is to, especially say Austin catching up there is, okay, I'm going to try to hold him back, but I'm not going to do anything too crazy because you get a little too racy here, and small mistakes, brake block, just miss your braking point by half an inch here in the wall, right? So just not do that. Just stick to what you know the pace you can run, be consistent every lap, and get it to the end. So it worked out today.
Brian, congratulations. P3, we'll see you in a couple weeks at Worldwide Technology Race. We'll see you there.
All right, thanks, Cal.
Thank you. Moving on now to Adam Blocker, who, despite not winning the race tonight, is going to be pretty happy regardless because it was a big points gain, especially with Andreas Ike having a tough night. Adam, second place, only by about a half a second, though, in the closing laps. Is there anything you could have done different to catch Philip or pass him in those closing moments?
Yeah, I think the main thing I could have done was either just execute better in qualifying. There wasn't a lot left because Phil did a great lap, but if I had gotten pole, that would have kind of changed things. But the other thing would have been just to have better pace in the first stint. I'm really not sure what happened, or what the deal was, why I was kind of struggling in the first stint. But because in the second and final stints, I think we were pretty even on pace, but I kind of just never made up the time that I lost initially to the end. But I was also expecting the overcut at the end when we were switching to blacks to be better, because I thought the blacks were going to be slow, but it turned out that the late fuel load on blacks, they were actually pretty fast. So,
well, Adam, it was still a great night regardless. Started second, finished second, but we're going to see you in a couple weeks at Worldwide Technology Raceway. You excited to be back to some ovals, or do you prefer the road courses towards the end of the season?
I'm fine with either. I feel like I do just as well on both. So, yeah, I just want to thank everybody in the team for the work on the setup, and congratulate Brian on the P3 and Henry on the P4.
All right, Adam, we'll see you next time. Thanks for talking.
Yep, see you.
Philip Kraus, another victory to add to the season and a climb up the point standings. Philip, tonight another very, very solid race, dominating this one here at Long Beach. This is a fun racetrack to be dominant at. There are a lot of dramas behind you, but not much out front. Take us through your night.
Oh yeah, it was a lot more tense at the end than I thought it'd be, because the first two runs I built with about a 3-second gap on Adam, but after the first stop I saw he went a lap longer, so I was a bit worried that he was going to do what he did, which he stretched the reds an extra lap to try to overcut me, and I got a bit lucky with the blacks because they were a lot quicker than they were in practice, and I was able to hold in front of him, but he was closing in pretty quick there at the end, and I was a little scared.
Well, looking at the season and the climb up the standings again with Andreas Ike having a poor night, that's going to close things up significantly. Our next couple of rounds are at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We've got Kansas, then we go back to a road course, then we finish off at 2 more ovals, so pretty oval heavy to end the season. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for you, or does it not matter?
I mean, I prefer more road courses, but ovals will do just fine. Just gotta hope that we don't get wrecked in any of the pack races at Kansas and Auto Club, but I haven't raced at WWT, so that should be fun. But other than that, looking forward to it.
All right, Phil. Hey, congratulations on your victory. We'll see you next time.
Yep, thank you.
Vinny, final thoughts now on tonight's GP of Long Beach presented by Raze Energy. A good, solid race, but some attrition throughout the field. But Philip Kraus walks away with another victory and a lot of momentum heading into the next round at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Yeah, I think this is really going to be the thing to watch, is this battle going between these two. As I was really looking and seeing if Blocker can catch up to Ike with just the sheer amount of consistency consistency they have with Ike finishing way down the order. Blocker going to take commanding lead in the championship after this. And now it's just a matter of really the eyes going to Philip Kraus. Actually, the points just updated now. Blocker in the lead, no surprise there. Andreas Ike 20 points behind, but then Philip Kraus came into the night 62 points behind the race leader. But behind the points leader, Andreas Ike is now 37 points behind Blockers. So he's cut that deficit close to half, and only really going to start closing in from now, I would imagine, with these last few rounds coming up.
Well, it's going to be very, very exciting. We'll be back with you on August 1st, about 2 weeks from now, for Worldwide Technology Raceway. That'll be our next event. And it's got a name. They're calling it the Tribute to the Troops 140 laps at Gateway. We'll see you there in 2 weeks' time. Kyle Heyer alongside Fina DeCuna. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.